Hello and good day everyone. Welcome to Pastor O'Neill Review Zone, and I am grateful and thankful for every one of you that have decided to join in with us today. Those that have subscribed to the channel, all 8 of you, we thank God for you. We trust that you are enjoying the content, that you are getting valuable information coming out of the information that we give to you, and that it will help you on your Christian journey. If you're not a believer, we are trusting God that you will become a believer, understanding how important and powerful the Word of God is in helping to craft our lives and helping us to live pretty much better. Today we have a new segment that we want to implement within the channel, and it is answering questions from the internet. So we are going to get into answering this question from the internet right now.
Welcome to Pastor O'Neill's Review Zone podcast. We are glad that you decided to join us today. This podcast focuses on reviewing topics like movies, music videos, audio clips, and even relationships, so sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to Pastor O'Neill's Review Zone.
Alright, so welcome back. As I said, we have a brand new section that we're going to put within the podcast, and that is answering questions from the internet. Alright, as you know, Pastor O'Neill Review Zone, we are going to be reviewing movies, we are going to be reviewing music, we're going to be reviewing clips, video clips, all in the effort of helping you make better choices. We're going to be talking about relationships, especially because that is the building block of the family, and that is the focus of our ministry here in Trinidad and Tobago. Alright, so this question actually comes from Quora. Alright, as you know, Quora is a nice platform where you can ask your questions, and people with different views and specialities and professional backgrounds and so on can answer your question. Alright, so as a pastor and as a marriage counselor, we will answer some questions on that platform as well. So you can check it out, and you're going to very well see that we answer some questions on the platform. Alright, so we have a particular question here that we want to answer, and this was sent in by a viewer, and they said, how do you know when it is time to leave a relationship? How do you know when it's time to leave a relationship? So that's the question that we're going to be answering today. Alright, and as you know that this particular question, not as you know, but I want to let you know that this particular question, there's so many different ways in which we can go to answer this particular question. Alright, and since there are so many different ways and we have so very little bandwidth, we are going to be answering this question using 3 scenarios, not 6. 3. Right, we're going to be answering this question using 3 scenarios, and here are the 3 scenarios. The person asks, how do you know when it is time to leave a relationship? So we interpret this to mean, because they didn't give us any other information to go on, we interpret it to mean that is a boyfriend-girlfriend type of relationship, and you want to know what are some specific markers that you would use to signal the end of the relationship, or the time for you to jump ship, the time for you to leave. That's one. Number 2, there is abuse involved, and you want to know if you should leave or if you should stay, depending on some things. And 3, it is when we talk about a relationship, because a marriage is also a relationship. So I looking at it as there's a marriage that you're not happy within the marriage. All right, does that mean that it's time to leave? Is that a marker? So we're going to answer those right now. Right, so with the first one, if it's a boyfriend-girlfriend, right, and you have to understand that Quora is made up of all different types of people, So I am just going to go out on a limb here and say that this person is not a Christian, this person is not a believer. And so in most boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, you have actual people living together, all right? Or they may not be, but definitely having sex, all right? And as a pastor, I am not advocating for 1 minute that you have sex before marriage, because that brings in a whole lot of dynamic according to the age. All right, according to the age, if you're very, very young, you're not able to handle all of the nuances that comes with having sex before marriage. And one of them is in the case that you end up getting pregnant as a young individual. If you're in school or you're in university and you're studying, it might not be something that you would have been catering for at that point in time. The whole finances comes to bear, because the young lady needs special care during that maternity period, right? She needs doctor visits, she needs special vitamins, minerals, she needs special things, maternity stuff. And then when the child comes, that's an additional amount of finances. And so you will find that if a guy recognizes is all of that, he ain't catering for the mood swings and all of that, most men leave. That's why it is important to make sure that you are in a committed, married relationship before you decide to bring children to the forefront. All right, but things happen, and even among Christians, sometimes things happen. All right, so I'm not here to bring down brimstone and fire and to condemn you or anything like that, but I am just here to share some of the things that will come up. All right, so it's a boyfriend and girlfriend, and you find that in the relationship you're feeling bored, or in the relationship you find that the person, because you're living together, you're sharing a living space, you did not cater for this person being like that, or you didn't cater for him being like that, you didn't cater for her being like that. Let me let you know something. In a relationship, no one is perfect. It doesn't matter if you love each other to death, you love each other to bits, and you decide to get married. When you come together and you are sharing a space, the real you, the real boy, the real girl, the real Tom, the real Jane begins to come out, because all of the time you are accustomed being a single individual. That's why the Bible says that a man shall leave the comfort of his home and cleave unto his wife, and the two shall become one. We feel that as long as you get married, as long as you love each other, that becoming one is an instantaneous thing. No, becoming, I don't know, I can't remember the exact terminology, but it means it's a step. I know in the Greek it's called the aorist tense, which is an action to be done, and to be done continuously until the desired end comes to pass. Like when the Bible says, knock and it shall be opened unto you, it uses the aorist tense of the verb, which means to continue knocking until the door is open unto you. It's the same thing in this stance here. What God means in that you are working together and you are constantly shedding all of your single, selfish desires to accommodate the individual. And of course, it is supposed to be vice versa. So in a marriage, when you're dealing with relationships, it's about giving parts of you. It's about surrendering some of your selfish desires. You don't want to be hugging the bed or hugging the sheet, and that kind. If you're married, that's what you're talking about. All right. But in today's hookup culture, you have a lot of people. They love each other and they decide to move in together, and they have a whole lot of things happening there. So that in itself, a person can leave at any given time. There's nothing holding them together, and that's why a lot of people don't get married. All right, they have You have nothing holding you together. You can split at any given time. And in today's cancel culture, it makes it even worse. We're going to get to that later on. Alright? So, as a boyfriend, girlfriend, what I would say is, why did you all get together? If it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, what is the aim of the relationship? Is it to get married? Alright? Is it to get married? What is the aim? What is the goal? Every relationship ought to have a purpose, ought to have a mission. What is the mission? What is our purpose for coming together? Alright? If you don't have a purpose, if you don't have a mission, then you are going to go with every whim and fancy. Whatever you see on television, whatever you see on social media, that is what you're just going to find yourself going with. So, first of all, what is the aim of the relationship? That is what you must find out. Alright? And so once you find out, once you decide on what is the aim of the relationship, what is the purpose of the relationship, then you can work on that together. Alright? So you have a goal, you have an aim, and both of us, our desire is to make sure that this goal is realized. The goal or the aim is to get married. So it doesn't matter what takes place, we're going to work on it. If we have differences of opinion, we're going to talk about it. We're going to sit down. We might agree to disagree. But the thing is, we are having dialogue. We are having understanding about the situation and so on. All right. So that is in terms of having a mission, right? Having a purpose, having a mission, right? The other thing is dialogue. What is the expectation? What are you expecting out of this relationship? What are your non-negotiables? What you will agree with and what you will disagree with? What is a deal breaker for you within the relationship? All right. So that is like a verbal contract that is being done up between the two parties, so you can decide, hey, I'm not going to sleep with you before we get married, or I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. You have some non-negotiables that you are definitely going to be discussing and talking about. I don't know why people don't talk about these things. Yes, you need to talk about those things. What are some deal breakers? What are some things that you definitely will not put up with? You're not going to put up with living together. Just saying, you're not going to put up with living together until we get married. You're not going to put up with sharing my bank account information with you until I know for certain that we are in a committed relationship. You are going to be my wife, you are going to be my husband, that kind of thing. So these are some things that we need to talk about definitely. All right. What are some expectations? What are some deal breakers and all of that? All right. As I said before, sex before marriage complicates things. So if you are having sex before marriage, all right, and as a young lady, you are waiting on the guy to propose to you, let me tell you, why should the guy buy the cow when he's getting the milk for free? You see? So we have to have some non-negotiables. We must have some things, and sometimes there's the fear that maybe you really like this guy, you're really into this guy, and you're fearful that you're telling them, hey, no sex before marriage, he's going to run off. Listen to me. Giving it up to him is not going to be a guarantee that he's going to stay with you anyway. You see? And you've got to understand which stage of life this individual is in. Are you guys working together, as I said, to build something positive? Alright? You got to understand which stage of life this guy is in. If he's in the stage where he's not ready to settle down, it don't matter what you do, he just will not settle down with you. Alright? And so these are some hard questions that you've got to ask and make sure is up front. Alright? So do not wait until you're into a relationship and then there's a lot of problems, and then you want to know, you want to leave, right? You want to leave. So the second thing is the relationship begins to become abusive, and I'm going to put a spin on this right now. The relationship begins to become abusive, and as a pastor, I tell my congregation and I tell my friends and people who come to us for marriage counseling, do not ever stay in an abusive relationship, especially if there's physical abuse involved. Do not stay in a physically abusive relationship. It will only get worse and worse and worse if the person is on some type of substance, and if they're abusing some type of substance and that kind of thing, it makes it even worse. Do not, let me repeat that, do not stay in an abusive relationship. Get out, get out, get out. And especially if the parties are not willing to submit themselves to marriage counseling, and I am talking about both parties. A lot of people like to talk about men abusing women or women abusing men. Let me tell you, sometimes you have what is called the enabler. The person enables that individual to become abusive. And especially if you're a female and you always want to overpower the male, and you say, hit me now, if you feel used, man, you go ahead and hit me, and you challenge that man's ego, trust me, he will hit you. Alright? And some women don't like to talk about that, but it is the truth. You enable that person's abuse, and so both parties must seek counseling. Do not come to me for counseling, talk about your partner is abusive, and the two of you all are not willing to get professional help. Waste of time. Alright? It's just going to make matters worse. So do not stay in an abusive relationship. The spinner that I want to put on is in the case of men being abused. It is commonly said that verbal abuse is worse than physical abuse. Because physical abuse, you can see the scars. With verbal and mental abuse and those type of abuse, you don't see it. And especially for the men find it very demasculating when a woman is abusing him with her mouth. She degrades him. She challenges his masculinity constantly. She pulls him down. And because he has been taught not to hit a woman, not to do anything like that, and especially in today's Me Too culture, where women tend to have this kind of high ground. If you even look at a woman, you can't even go up to talk to a woman and say, hi, how are you? I find you being attractive. They find that is sexual abuse. And I've gotten to understand that sometimes it's only sexual abuse when the woman does not like you. Right? Because certain individuals could come on them and talk some really sexual things, and they will find that he's just flirting with me because they really into the person. That is a red flag. That is some serious messed up mentalities there that we need to get rid of, especially for women. You know, if you have it for A, have it for B as well. Let it be across the board. Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. Do not have some things for some people and some things for other people. No. Then you're not consistent. Right? And that's why a lot of men have problems approaching women, because you're not consistent. You have one rule for one set of people and another rule for another set of people. Alright? So let's talk about male abuse for a minute. The man, he has his reputation to uphold, right? He has that ego, and that woman abuses him, and he stays there because most of the time, especially in a marriage relationship, the women are the ones who leave. Even in a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. And I'm not going to be naive to say that it doesn't happen. It happens more, right? You're shacked up, you're living together. The women leave anyway. So the men hardly leave, even in the midst of abuse. All right, even in the midst of abuse. And so what happens is that he is emasculated. He can't talk about it because he can't talk about it to his peers. They're going to laugh at him. What kind of man you is? In most cases, they don't even make reports to the police station because they're being ridiculed and pulled down. All right. And so if they're being ridiculed and pulled down, most times you find what happens is that that guy just internalizes that abuse. He internalizes it until it reaches a boiling point, and then he explodes in sometimes some of the most ridiculous ways. He can explode on the woman and be very abusive, right? Because he wants her to be in control again. He explodes on that woman and be very abusive, and everybody is shocked because Quiet John, they have never seen him hurt a fly. Yeah, it can happen. Alright? So that's why I'm saying do not stay in an abusive relationship. It will be bad for both of you. Alright? The other part of it is that he can be leaning towards, in some cases it happens, leaning towards suicidal thoughts, because he internalizes all of the demeaning things, all of the degrading things that she has been telling him, and he goes on to the other spectrum by beginning to get low self-esteem, and especially if he grows up with that, right? That's a mental issue, and as we're talking about men's mental health and all of that, that is a mental issue that you definitely need some psychotherapy to get over with and that kind of thing, right? And in today's culture, you have a lot of women that demasculate men, and it makes them feel better of a person. That is a mental issue. It's a red flag. Guys, do not stay in a relationship if your woman, your girlfriend, your wife is verbally abusing you, mentally abusing you, making snide remarks, demasculating you, pulling you down, right? We might say, it's easy to say, put she in she place, let her know who is man, but how do we do that? How do we do that? Do you let your voice get bigger than hers? Is it a shouting match? Is it by trying to communicate? Because remember, the person is not a very good communicator. They go from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. A Porsche have nothing on them. They are like a Porsche with no brakes. Unstoppable. Alright? How do you deal with that? So that's why I'm saying, in an abusive relationship, if both parties don't want to get counseling, do not stay. Run. Alright? Run. And as I say, male abuse is worse because of the stigma attached to it. Alright? And the last thing is, a relationship is actually a marriage. And you want to know, when is it time to leave? Let me say this. In today's modern cancel culture, we are producing poor individuals. We are producing poor women, and we are producing poor men. People who are unable to communicate effectively, and people who are unable to endure things. We feel like life is a bed of roses and everything is supposed to be good from the get-go, or we feel that we only in it if the problem is yea small, we can handle that. It means that you are a poor individual. Alright? The sets of people like the Generation X, my generation, and the generations before that, the baby boomers and so on, alright, the movers and the shakers and all of that. Those generations, listen to me, they knew about sticking it out, going through hard times, going through having no money, going through a recession, working 2 and 3 jobs and keeping the family together. And those generations were the ones, by and large, God was at the center. They weren't perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But the thing is, they had God at the center, and they were able to go through different elements, different struggles together, knowing that God is going to bring you out. You see, that's the importance. When you have God in the midst, you know that all things will work together for good to them that love the Lord and those that are called according to his divine purpose. When was the last time you put your situation before the Lord and say, God, I need you to help us with this? Most times we just waiting for a quick out because we don't have no stick to it ability, no stick to itiveness. Yes, we are growing up a generation today that cannot endure anything. We have no backbone. We are growing up a whole generation of pure jellyfishes, right? Nobody can handle anything again. As soon as you get a problem, I'm out. As soon as this person do this, I get another woman, or I get another man. And as I said, most of the time the women are the one that are leaving the relationships. So we are on our third point, and which is the relationships is actually a marriage. All right, and we want to know when is a time to leave the marriage. You want to leave the marriage because you're not feeling happy anymore. All right. I don't know if we know what a marriage is, and I don't know what vows we used when we did decide to get married. People change the vows and change it wrong to make it sound their own, but really and truly is for richer, for poorer, for sickness and in health, right? In good times and in bad times. All right, so it means that if that person is not well, you don't just up and leave. It means if that person loses their job, or something happened on the stock market and all of their investment has gone down the drain, and there are some women like that, from the time they recognize that, hey, you are no longer a millionaire, they're gone. You no longer bringing in the money, they're gone. The company that you was working with, all the perks that you was having, they allowed you to drive, a BMW, that was the company car. They put you up in a penthouse, they're paying for that. They give you membership at a members club. You're playing golf. Your wife there with you. Trips to different places. You could go all over. That's part of my neighbor's dogs. I don't know. This really get me on my nerves sometimes, but pay no attention to the dogs, right? Yeah. So I'm saying you're in a company, and the company doing very well. They're paying for your penthouse suite. They're paying for the car that you have. They're paying for members club, gym membership. They're paying for traveling all over, and you can carry your wife with you. Some ladies glad that they get with you because of all of these perks. And the minute that company, the stocks fell and the company had to close down, they have to let go of the managers and so on, and you have now been let go without a golden parachute. And for those who don't know what a golden parachute is, that is most cases a specific insurance that some companies give to their executive heads or the executive staff. So in the event that the company goes belly up, they have something that they can live on for some years until they get the foot back on the ground. You might not have a golden parachute, and you end up now in real problems. All right. And when you reach a stage like that, my friends, some women, they leave you and go on because they have options. The whole social media thing, Instagram, and all of that. They have 10 men in the DMs all the time, especially if that woman, her sexual marketplace value is high. She's good looking, she's well shaped, and all of that. A lot of men will go after her. And don't feel because you're married to her means that men will not be talking to her or checking her out and sending things in a direct messages on Instagram. You're wrong. Ring one finger, don't say anything. That's why I tell people these days, always be the best version of you. Don't just let yourself go when you get married. both men and women. Don't just let yourself go when you get married, but be the best version. Go to the gym, eat properly, exercise. Not only will it be better for you health-wise, it will be better for you as an individual. Always be the best, because you are always going to be competing to keep your wife, and women, you're always going to be competing to keep your husband. Don't feel that because you married him, you is the honest person that is going to be interested in him. That's definitely not true. Alright? So, you're in a marriage. Why are we producing such poor individuals that the minute that something happens, you want to leave? So we talked about the boyfriend-girlfriend issue. We talked about the abuse issue. Alright? Let's talk about cheating. You're not going to like what I have to say about cheating. Here's what I think about cheating. It takes two people to cheat. And I'm not talking about your husband going with somebody else or the wife going with somebody else. I talk about two of you all in the relationship, and this person decides to cheat. This person is cheating because of something that this person does. Nobody just decides to go cheating just like that. Nobody. We can talk about the fact that the person is low down, they have a right to come out and say something. That's a lie. Because the fact of the matter is, all of us, some of us can't handle the truth. Some of us can't handle the truth. And the person loving you and trying to shield you from a lot of things is more love than anything else. A lot of people would not agree with me, but that is the reality of human beings. That is the reality of human beings, right? We always try not to hurt the individual, especially if you love them, right? If you can get away with doing something on the side and you can stay on the inside there and have the relationship quote unquote going good, some people, they do it for years. You know, people will tell you that I was married to this guy for 10 years and I never knew that he was cheating on me. You probably knew, but you didn't want to come to the realization of it. Alright? Yeah. That person has been giving you red flags all the time. You just decide to ignore them. That woman was giving you red flags all the time. You decided to ignore them. That young man was giving you the red flags all the time. You decided to ignore them because you love the individual. Alright? Because you love the individual. So, we're in a culture that makes it really hard for individuals to develop interpersonal skills. The quickest thing we like to run out, including cheating. Right? We never want to stay and do some introspection and ask ourselves why. Or have the candid conversation. In fact, most of us, and I want to challenge you, most of you will never have that conversation with your spouse because of fear of what you might unearth. Fear of what you might unearth. Fear of what that person will say about you, because we always like to feel that we are perfect. We always like to feel that nothing is wrong with us. We always like to feel that we do not have red flags. For those of you who feel that you don't have red flags, that's a red flag. We all have red flags. We all have. In fact, I am very sure if we put some things together, somebody will actually say that Jesus Christ have a lot of red flags. First of all, Jesus Christ didn't care about his family. He said, who is my brother? Who is my sister? He said, those that do the will of my Father, they are my brothers and they are my sisters. So he didn't care too much about his family. He says, I am not come to set peace, but I am come to set a sword on the earth. I've come to put man against mother against daughter and son against father and so on. People will say that that's a red flag. Most of the time, Jesus ran away from people and wanted to stay by himself. Other people might say that's a red flag. So you get what I'm coming at. If you understand what I'm saying, then you will understand. If you understand the Bible, then you understand what I'm saying. If you bring Jesus Christ on earth here right now, a lot of people will say, this man have red flags. Right? He didn't spend a lot of time with the quote-unquote church people. He spent most of his time with those that were drunkards, those that were prostitutes, those that were of questionable character according to the Jewish culture. Right? Those were the people that he spent his time with. So a lot of people would say, Jesus Christ, that man are red flags. Right? So the point I'm trying to make here is, all of us are red flags. Every single one of us. So we have to understand what is our goal, what is our mission, what is our purpose. If you are a married individual, the Bible says, according to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, you have to give unto your significant other due benevolence. You're talking about you have children and you're too tired, then why you get married? Why get married? You have no, you don't cater for sex anymore. And it's not just about sex. What about just being able to communicate? Be that person's peace, be that person's shield, be that person's sounding board where you can genuinely sit down and listen and empathize with that individual. Most men, when they cheat, you know it's not about cheating at all. Why do you think they end up with the secretary, or they end up with more person who is sexually unappealing? Because it's not about sex. Women just always feel a man will want to choke his male member in anything. That is not true. But what is true, a man wants respect. And once you continuously disrespect that man by not showing him the attention that he desires, by preferring to spend more time with the children than with the man, knowing that the children would leave you at some point in time, they will go to college, and who you end up with? Not the same man who you was neglecting all the time, and then you want him now to show you some type of attention after you have neglected that man for years. He ain't leave, right? But now you want attention after the children grow up and so on. So my thing is, we have grown up a series of individuals that have no interpersonal skills because we don't want to hear the truth. Jack Nicholson was right in A Few Good Men. You can handle the truth. Alright? And social media is another element. Social media presents to us a lot of options. All those guys in your DMs, ladies, trust me, they only want one thing. All those guys in your DMs, they only want one thing. So you're going to leave your husband of how much years with the children and leave and just go and be with that individual now for a one night stand. A lot of women do it. A lot of women do it. They leave the husband who has been with them for years. Sometimes you know each other from since school days. And they leave that person to end up with a one night stand. That person spend one night with you, that's all they wanted, notch on the belt, and then they go on. So in a marriage, what we have to understand is that you're in this thing for better or for worse, for sickness and in health, in good times and in bad. And if you have a problem, you have to work it out. Sometimes you need a third party to give you a different perspective of what both of you are going through. Because both of you are inside the barrel. Sometimes you need somebody outside the barrel who can see all the angles and help you all with that. And so I always advocate seeing a counselor, seeing a therapist, especially if they are born again, who can help you. Alright? So that's it for my little answering of the question, how do you know when it's time to leave a relationship? So you notice that in the last one, which is a marriage, I didn't say anything about leaving, because I believe that a marriage is until death do your part. And also, it is about being able to deal with difficult things. Difficulties will come. It's not about just being happy, because the truth be told, you can't expect another person to make you happy. Happiness has to come from within. In fact, you need more than happiness, you need joy. Joy unspeakable and full of glory. Only Jesus Christ can give you that. Alright? So, how do you know when it's time to leave a relationship? I hope that I was able to answer the question by presenting 3 scenarios: 1, a boyfriend and girlfriend; 2, an abusive relationship; and 3, within a marriage. Within a marriage, try and work it out as much as possible. I know the courts try to make it feel like if irreconcilable differences. Don't wait until it reaches to that point. Have dialogue. If you value your relationship, if you value each other, after all, you got married to each other. You couldn't wait to spend the rest of your life together. Alright? Try and work it out. Okay? So, that's my 2 cents on the matter. This is Pastor Desmond O'Neill. Please like and subscribe. Pastor O'Neill Review Zone. Please like and subscribe. Alright? And until we meet again, take care. Have a good one, everyone.